Welcome to the Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Arwin, father of a stolen child, and Neil, together with a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good morning, Al.
Afternoon.
Hello, hello.
Hey, hey, hey.
What's up?
High enthusiasm levels from Discord for a Thursday. Not bad at all. Can't complain. Any evidence of physical geometric sphere edge horizons, formerly known as Earth curvature?
Not a reality.
Where?
At the horizon, Arwin. Clue is in the question. But any evidence, that means proof, of a physical, that means like a hill, something getting in the way, geometric, as they claim, we have a sphere beneath our feet, horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature. That's their claim.
Like I said, not from a reality point of view.
For anyone watching who's not a flat earther, this is your claim. You claim the horizon's Earth curve, getting in the way of boats and buildings and stuff. It isn't. We've debunked it. Earth's not a sphere. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
I mean, that 15-degree movement that we're supposed to experience?
The claim that we have 15 degrees now, turn of the Earth underneath, stuff not attached, that would be Coriolis deviation observable from the ground that's spinning beneath the stuff that's not attached to show this 15 degrees now deviation. Yeah, they claim it's Coriolis effect, we just don't observe it. There is no drift, nothing's drifting away as we turn underneath it.
No, the Earth is not turning 15 degrees. The lights in the sky are, for sure.
Any evidence
What about
that...
hurricanes?
About hurricanes? Well, hurricanes could give you Coriolis if you were in them, like Dorothy. Spinning around, observing things on the ground, seem to move because you're moving around in a hurricane. That would also be Coriolis if you were in the hurricane. Or in a whirlpool, going down a drain. Spinning around, looking at the stuff on the side of the sink, seeming like it's moving when it's actually you spinning.
But aren't hurricanes the side effect of the Earth spinning?
No, certainly not Coriolis deviation, because that's not actual deflection. And Earth and atmosphere aren't bonded, they're separate entities. Moreover, if they were bonded, then you wouldn't have Coriolis effect, which is what they claim they do have.
But that's just the trenches, right?
Well, the globe claims they have Coriolis.
It is spinning. It is deviating.
Again.
Well, don't the officials, Neil deGrasse Tyson, all that, basically say that it all does actually deviate?
Yeah, the official line for the globe to claim it's spinning is to suggest that Earth turns underneath things not attached like footballs and snipers' bullets. But that would mean it also has to turn underneath hot air balloons, drones, aeroplanes, helicopters, anything that's not attached, to give you the 15 degrees an hour deviation they claim you observe in footballs and bullets. So they claim there's Coriolis effect. When we point out there isn't any, the people at trench level defend why there isn't any, with excuses like Earth and atmosphere travel as one, giving you no Coriolis effect as they claim they have.
But has it ever been addressed at the high level? Like, did Neil deGrasse Tyson ever say, like, yes, everything deviates, including planes and drones?
Doesn't matter. That's the claim. We know what they claim. They claim we have Coriolis effect. It's as simple as that. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
I would say it's over there, but I can't be sure. It's too clouded.
What about the distance to it, though?
Oh, it's behind the clouds.
That's not a distance. That's a vague description.
You know how far the clouds are?
I don't want distance to clouds. Don't ask him that.
I don't know, like the close where they start close by or where they end up there. Because I'm pretty sure that if you go up there, it's still going to be over there. The sun, that is.
How beautifully vague. Should we move on? Unless anybody in Discord's got a distance to the sun.
Apparently not.
The sun's intangible.
Correct. Kind of a pointless question, Rams. But yes, indeed, it is intangible. We'll have a job running a tape measure to it. Anyway, any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Black Swan.
It's assumed.
Yeah, part of the assumption that a horizon is physical and getting in the way of boats and buildings and stuff is to assume the R value by way of a derived measurement from that same horizon. Again, we've debunked that. Earth is not a sphere. It's been debunked.
Wait, are you saying that assuming things, if everybody assumes it, that isn't proof?
It isn't when you debunk it with the black swan from within the assumption. No, we pointed out that just assuming your outcome isn't proof, but they still said, well, we all assume it together, therefore it's still valid. So we had to go into the assumption, assume Earth's a sphere, radius 3959, and then demonstrate how the horizon's beyond the physical capabilities of a sphere with an edge to block boats and buildings. Therefore, Earth is not a sphere.
But if it's been disproven, the radius, then why don't they stop assuming it?
Called zealotry.
Try taking a ball away from a kid. See how much they cry.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
You got to define it first. It's a reification fallacy.
The bending of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass.
Well, maybe it will be proven one day once they establish what it actually is.
We know what it is. It's the bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time. Pseudo-Riemannian force space is the geometry. The uneven distribution of mass is the cause. The effect is not a force. It's bending space-time.
But that's
in
just a
mathematics.
description. That doesn't actually define what it is in the really is world.
There isn't anything in the really is world. It's in the pseudo-Riemannian force space. Space-time world.
Exactly. So it basically hasn't really been figured out what it is. It's been described, it's been metaphorically compared, but still that doesn't actually define what it is yet. So once it has actually been defined in the really is world, then maybe they could prove it.
But there isn't anything in the really is world. Only in the
Well,
mathematical
not
force
right
space world.
now.
Not right now, not ever. Anyway, moving on. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Not in the really is world.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day they'll do some science, even though they rule the majority of the world's view on the place they're actually standing on.
Yeah, but when you go for all the records and paperwork, it's probably going to be in some black hole.
Boom, boom. Any evidence?
Paperwork? I thought they use email these days.
Yeah, they do.
Very
It's not
good.
science.
Very good, Ira.
Not science. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No, impossible. They can't even show the R in the presupposed spherical Earth. How are they going to show something like a molten iron core?
Yeah, exactly. As I said earlier, because you utilise a physical geometric sphere edge horizon to derive an R value, to then reify into existence a model that's based on the R value assumption, which has been debunked, you don't have anything left. There's no presupposed spherical Earth to have a core. There's no Earth curve edge horizon to prove we're on a sphere. There's no space. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
Yes, you just need 2 containers and reconcile with that you have to be standing in a container. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to prove it.
We first assume that we're in a container that doesn't need containment because we've got gas pressure, but by way of special pleading, that means that we don't need containment to have the gas pressure because the sky is a vacuum in a fundamentalist religious worldview that stands in violation of the second law of thermodynamics. That sort of assumption of a container that's not containing things. And then start with your 2 containers inside that contain gas that you already have, and therefore must have the antecedent of containment.
Exactly. Or you could just say, just walk outside.
But that would prove that we are in a contained system, because to walk outside would be to observe the gas pressure we're all breathing. Don't even have to go outside to do that. Therefore, there must be containment. It's an antecedent-consequent relationship. Without the container, there can be no pressure.
Well, not if the second law of thermodynamics wouldn't apply to the Earth.
Doesn't apply to a spherical Earth model that's a philosophy been reified by the Western world. No, because that's just a model. Natural law, however, describes stuff that happens always in the real world, in nature. Law thereof. That's why it's called law of nature.
Wait, what were we talking about again?
Laws of nature.
We're talking about
I got lost.
Laws of nature not applying to models that they say the second law of thermodynamics, that's a natural law, that's a description of something that applies always, doesn't apply to their fundamentalist religious belief in a sphere model that they think they're standing on, but doesn't abide by natural law.
as Paul would say. Where did they discover this second law of thermodynamics?
In nature. They observed something occurring always and then described it. That concludes the housekeeping.
Yay.
Good summaries today, Nathan.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
I'm
Very
particularly
concise.
proud to have enacted a baller effect where I would migrate the argument so far into the conceptual that I literally lost track of what we actually were talking about. I was honest. I literally forgot that we were actually talking about gas pressure for a moment.
That's why it does
Because I
take
did
some.
the baller thing. It
some of the
really
ballers-
works. It really makes you forget what you're talking about.
That's why it takes some skill to be able to double speak with any semblance of consistency, and someone like the Rumpus can't. That's why he gets caught out all the time, because he's attempting to do that, and in some instances he manages it. But in more instances than we've got snippets of, he doesn't. He loses track of his double speak, sometimes within the same breath, which is very amusing. Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning, guys.
Good to have you.
The
Yes, sir.
average
Thank you.
person loses
everybody.
concentration 6 times every minute.
A person loses their what now every 60 what now?
About six times every minute. Apparently, the average person loses their concentration, or their concentration wavers on average.
You sure you're not thinking
Yeah,
of
well-
goldfish?
That's kind of high, don't you think?
People also say the Earth is a globe, so I wouldn't believe everything you hear.
Yeah. A lot of these stats are just made up. Like, men think about sex every 6 seconds or something. Just made up.
Right.
That's made
Could
up?
be.
Hold up.
Yeah. I'm sure you can think about it every 6 seconds if you try to.
It's like, when you're driving sometimes, and you'll go through a section of town, and you'll suddenly sort of become aware of exactly what you're doing and where you're going, and you realize that you weren't sort of paying attention
I know what you mean, like autopilot on the
for a
way home.
moment.
Yeah, that's taken advantage of. If you can put people's language state into a reification of the religious worldview that you want them to adhere to, then they'll do it on autopilot. If you're talking about atmosphere, when you're talking about the actual air that we breathe, then you're going to reify that spherical shaped air without even giving it a second thought. Now, do you ever stop when you're in the middle of a sentence and say, what does that word actually mean? Now, actually, I do. If I've said a word or I don't understand a word, I'll often go and look it up and look up the etymology and go, wow, new word, so that I understand what it means. But on the whole, you don't. And even, I'm guilty of this as much as anybody else on the panel with things like atmosphere. when do you stop to consider that what that word means and what it's training you to believe in when you say it? You don't. So it's definitely taken advantage of this autopilot that you're describing.
I've done a little research on that. It's called highway hypnosis. And what's happening is you are concentrating on something else so much that it kicks in to where your subconscious, they say, takes over, because your skill to drive is in your long-term memory, and it's automatic, like tying your shoelaces or brushing your teeth or riding a bike. You don't have to think about it.
And the same applies with walking. As much as this might sound like a strange thing to say, but you'll understand where I'm going. A lot of people who are just walking from A to B pay absolutely no attention to anything that's surrounding them when they're doing it. Now, I'm the total opposite. I like to pay attention to absolutely everything. I like to have my head up high and look around and study things and examine things. Having kids is wonderful. I get to re-examine my entire town and point it out to a child. Look at that, look at that, look at this, look at that. Isn't it wonderful? Don't we live in a wonderful place? And if you've got your head up and you're looking around and you stop, that's something that hardly anybody, if anybody, does unless they've got a destination with a via point that they're going to stop at intentionally. Most people don't stop and just look around and take in what their surroundings are doing and where they are and what it's like. You know, the smells, the sensations. In other words, most people don't stop to live. And it shocks me. I normally give the example with the stars. So I've given this example where I've been in a car park and there's been a beautiful moonrise, and I'll just stop and just watch it. Yeah, I might spend 10 minutes there looking at it and go, wow, isn't that beautiful? And people will walk past me going, what a nutter. What's he doing? Looking at me. Now, do they ever track my eye line to the moon that's massive? Go on, Atheism, say again.
It's called...
I said that's because most people are busy and they have jobs and places to be.
Yeah, busy, preoccupied. Busy's a good word, but preoccupied is what Rams was getting at.
But if you go out for most people who go out for a walk do exactly what you've described there.
Do they?
Are they sure? Are you sure they're not keeping stuck in their own minds, just pondering on things constantly, not looking around? Because a lot of people do that.
My point is,
I don't know what you're basing this on.
Well,
most people I know do exactly what Nathan described.
Right, well, not in my experience, and that's all I'm going from. And in my experience, people don't look up at the stars, they don't pay attention to the surroundings, and when it comes to a subject like this, you find out how little people have paid attention to those sorts of things.
You don't give people enough credit, obviously.
Oh, really? So you've studied stars, have you? Let's see how extensive your knowledge is in this specific subject, then.
Yes, but I look up at the stars, Nathan, and I wonder what they are.
So you studied them.
You do? So you don't have a preconceived notion of what it is?
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with what I've just
Did you notice anything interesting when you were studying them?
They move.
Yeah, you're right. They move.
But that's what they do. That's not what they are.
That's profound and so insightful. Thank you. I'm so glad you passed this information on to us.
Just saying, Nathan, you don't give people enough credit, and you've made sweeping statements there to back your argument.
I don't give people enough credit. I ask you for an example of what you've studied about the stars, and your example was they move. And you're saying I don't give enough people enough credit. Okay, I think I give them too much if you're my example.
All you were saying is...
All I'm saying is people don't really pay much attention, and your example typifies it perfectly, yet you think I don't give people enough credit. Name one other thing that's interesting about the stars. Having studied them, right?
You didn't say study them. You said stop and look at them.
Yeah. So name something interesting when you've stopped and looked at them.
For
they
10
move.
minutes.
That's what we've got so far.
Twinkle.
Anything else? See how profound your next statement is
They
going to be.
move and they twinkle.
They twinkle? I'm right. You're right, my bad. Yeah, I do. I so underestimate people. Well done.
I didn't say underestimate. I said you don't give
Describing
them
what
enough
they do,
credit.
not what they are.
Give them enough credit. What do you think you need a bit more credit? Are you having me on? You're making my example for me.
Why are you getting so angry, Nathan?
I'm not getting angry, you buffoon. I've just made an example. You've challenged it
Your
and
voice
then
has
made
got a-
the example for me, and now you're talking through me. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you've just made my example for me.
Most people walking, looking at the moon for a minute or two, are just going through a phase in their life.
What are you basing this on? You just keep saying most people. What are you basing it on?
I gave an example. Did you not listen? I gave a
Hearsay.
specific
It's all
example
hearsay.
to justify why I say that. I gave a very specific example. I described me stopping in a car park, seeing a beautiful moonrise and standing there for a prolonged period of time as people walked past me, looked at me funny, and never once tracked my eye line to actually see what I was looking at. They just gave me a funny look. That's an example from personal experience that I've given now twice. Why is it that when I give my example for a second time that completely contradicts your nonsense challenge, you just laugh? Is it because me pointing out that you haven't got a very long attention span is funny?
I don't believe what you're saying.
I
Then.
couldn't give a crap about your belief. You're speaking for everybody, you realise, while you tell me about what you accept and believe, yet you're here talking about everybody. I'm giving examples of what I've experienced personally. Why are you here?
You're getting very angry for
Yeah,
something.
because why are you here? Are you just here to agitate and challenge something benign so you can have a little row? Is that your purpose here?
Yeah.
I
that's his
actually enjoy
purpose.
coming here. You just get really angry.
No, I get dicks like you who make my examples for me after I say, yeah, people don't pay a great deal of attention to the stars. I give an example of how I've observed that to be the case, and you say, I don't believe you. Oh, really? That's really useful to my audience.
Okay, so your point being that people don't pay attention to the moon or the stars.
No, we started off with Rams giving an example of people being on autopilot. Then I expanded that out in how that's useful to take advantage of if you've got certain things in the language that automatically program you with certain concepts. I gave an example for that as well. It was atmosphere. Now, I don't doubt for 1 second you haven't listened to a single part of this train of thought that we are discussing in conversation. But you think it's worthy of challenge, and the bit you've challenged it on is how non-observant you are with your twinkling moving stars.
Sorry, someone was talking over you there, Nathan. I couldn't hear what you were saying.
All right, that's lovely. Don't have much to offer, my
I'm
friend.
not sure who it was. It wasn't
Why
me.
is it every time this guy shows up, so we just end up in a spiral of nonsense? I don't even get it.
Beats
What is your
actually
purpose?
presenting evidence for a sphere or challenging anything we actually put forward.
Have you ever tried flying a drone on a train?
No.
Wow.
Why?
That would
Why?
just be an interesting experiment. I don't know what would happen, but it'd be interesting, wouldn't
Don't know what an experiment is.
it? Okay, maybe it's not
Chocolate,
a
that was
proper
great.
experiment,
Wow.
but it'd be an interesting test, wouldn't it?
What are the three constituent parts of a hypothesis? Hello? Said you got an experiment. That'd be a hypothesis test. What are the three constituent parts of a hypothesis? I don't give people enough credit. Wrong. I'm surrounded by idiots. You're one of them. It's not an experiment, my stupid friend.
He just droned off.
Yep. So how's your drone useful? We're going to find out. Drone on a plane? Any example that goes with it? Maybe a claim?
You ever operate a remote control car in a driveway?
What's your claim, Chocolate? Oh, merely a question of folly. Yeah, actually I have. I have operated a remote control car in a driveway. What of it?
No, just asking. Just
I see. Just make an idle chit-chat. So as soon as we get the conversation on something that might actually yield a so-called proofsy, got silence now, right? Of course. Excellent. Just the way it should be. So back on the conversation. People are very easy to manipulate. People have all sorts of mind mechanisms that keep them preoccupied. They go into little autopilots without even realizing it, leaving very little time for contemplating the nature of their reality. Other things to worry about. Preoccupation, autopilot, whatever you want to call it. Who'd have known such a suggestion would be so divisive, Rams?
Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah, if you can get the people talking about the paradigm without their acute awareness that they're using words that give them ideas. You know, obviously there's a certain level of education that goes behind that as well, preferably as young as possible, so that you don't give it a second thought after you've been taught it in a classroom that's very boring. But then you'll go on forever using words like atmosphere, not realizing that you're using something that doesn't make any sense. Atmo, air, sphere, well, that's a shape. Well, air isn't sphere-shaped, that's nonsense. It takes the shape of its container. It's not sphere-shaped. But then you find out that they've got a whole sphere-shaped law to beg the question about containment not being required, with a not force that you can think of as a force called gravity, all by way of this one word, which is a whole convoluted explanation around it, and we use it in our common language. Without even realising it, we're on autopilot to reify a sphere by way of sphere-shaped air.
Did you shadow mute me, Nathan?
No. Didn't do anything.
You definitely
No,
did.
hold on a sec. It seems like you lost connection.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, you just went silent. We just assumed you just got
That seems to happen a lot to me.
Hold on.
But
You
that
lost
sounds like a
connection,
good
and on
idea.
rejoin, you get muted
Why don't you do that?
automatically.
Yeah, if you drop and rejoin.
But no, I dropped the connection because I went mute and I couldn't hear anything.
Right. Well, that happens because. Anyways, continue, Nathan.
It happens because
Very
it's technology
suspicious.
and
Very,
electronics.
Not
very
Quit
suspicious. I
crying
just
about
explained
it.
it to you. Come on.
Okay.
Make a point. Quit crying about technology that doesn't work sometimes.
Listen, it's a good idea to do that anyway. Muting him.
Shut him up anyway.
Hi, Brian.
That was Neil.
Brian, Neil, same thing.
We don't give people enough credit. You won't even use people's correct name.
That's all right. I take that as a compliment.
Nathan.
Yes, whoever that was.
Coming back to your hypothesis problem.
I don't have a hypothesis
the
problem.
3 parts would be, in my opinion, first you need a problem, like an observation. Then you would propose a solution, and then confirm the experiment.
That's what you
or
think a
the
hypothesis is. Wrong.
Oh, not this again. I wasn't even talking about a hypothesis. You brought that
Someone
up.
else is talking now,
What
my
is
friend.
it, Nathan?
Someone else is talking. Vacuum. It's incorrect.
Sam, here. Okay. What are the 3 parts then?
You tell me.
I just told you that it's wrong.
Correct,
If
it is
you're
wrong.
saying these aren't the 3 parts, then you have to know better, don't you?
I do.
I'm just asking you.
All right. Maybe look it up. Got it wrong. Maybe come back again with something else, and I'll let you know if it's right or not.
Okay. Wait. I'm gonna type in Google.
Why should I tell you?
Here, a hypothesis is a prediction you create prior to running an experiment. The common format is if cause then effect, because rational. In the world of experience optimization, strong hypothesis consists of 3 distinct parts: a definition of the problem, a proposed solution, and a result. Wasn't that what I said? Like, approximately?
It's wrong. The three constituent parts were described in the cause and effect, though, because that's what you're studying. A problem? Well, you could have a mathematical problem. Wouldn't have anything to do with natural science, though, would it? So, figuring out a problem? No. Cause and effect. It did detail those, though, didn't it? What would a cause be called in a hypothesis? Any idea?
The cause, that's the dependent variable.
Oh, it sounds like we've got something here now, haven't we? Hold on. So, not what you just said then. So, when I talk about constituent parts, it's talking in your explanation about cause, and you've now described something called an independent variable. That's definitely, that sounds like something you'd need in it. Why are you talking? You asked me to tell you.
He corrected you. He corrected
you. Shut up.
Dependent.
Hello? Ignorant person that hadn't got the slightest clue that read something from Wiki. I'm telling you, someone who's sat here with his feet up doesn't have to look up a damn thing, and you're interrupting me. What's happening is the flat earther knows what you do not know. Don't talk through me. Shut up. While the flat earther tells you, based on what you've read out only moments earlier. You didn't have the vaguest clue. You read it out and read the conclusory statement as the three constituent parts. Wrong. Cause, effect. Those two things were definitely detailed. They're definitely part of a hypothesis. IVDV. Yeah? We've also got stuff that you'll hold constant. That's control variables. Otherwise known as constant variables. Those would be your three constituent parts. The shite you read out in summary definitely wasn't those. So, in summary, you've been educated by a flat earther. Now say thank you.
Can I get your citation?
You can say thank you. IVDVCV. Those would be the three constituent parts of a scientific prediction, otherwise known as hypothesis. I don't need to look it up, I know. Now you can say thank you to the flat earther that just educated you.
Thanks, Nathan.
Say thank you.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, you best be grateful, you ignorant little twat. You haven't got the vaguest clue what a scientific prediction is, yet you'll claim a drone on a train is an experiment. You're thick. Now, I'm more than content to educate you stupid idiots and declare, quite correctly so, that the flat earther knows what's what and you don't. You're an embarrassment to your globe belief. You're being educated by a flat earther. I still haven't heard a thank you from you, Sam.
No, he did. He said thank you.
Shut up, vacuum. Sam, you've been educated about what you need in a scientific prediction, otherwise known as hypothesis. You didn't have the vaguest clue. You gave me an incorrect answer. Now I've educated you, as requested. So at your request, you've been educated by a flat earther. Now say thank you.
He said thank you, Nathan.
I said thank you.
Good lad. And for all of you in the audience, let's make it absolutely plain. We as flat earthers understand what science is. You as globe-believing morons do not. Laugh it up. That's the reality of the situation. I've just had to educate you two clowns in what science is after you, vacuum, making an incorrect declaration about having an experiment. You didn't, you stupid idiot. Now you've been corrected by the flat earther. Hope you're proud. You're an embarrassment to your globe faith.
You should run the Chinese re-education camps, Nathan.
Right, he asked me to tell him. I told him to look it up. He looked it up and it gave the details I was seeking. Now, thanks to him actually reading it out and concluding incorrectly by way of the summary in the thing he read out only moments earlier, that he had the three constituent parts, I had to correct him at his request. I've not dragged him here, you stupid idiot. He's come of his own volition and asked me something. He's then got an answer, the correct answer, from the flat earther. That's what's happened. You think that's a Chinese internment camp? No, it's a flat earther educating moron globe heads. That's what it is.
You're going to die young if you don't chill out, you know.
Get out. What the hell are you doing here, telling me I'm going to die?
About time, get rid of that guy.
That's the comeback. I point out how stupid these idiots are, and they haven't got the slightest idea what they claim when they use the word like experiment. And his response is to tell me I'm going to die.
They always inflict harm on you, Nathan.
Death and taxes. We're all going to die. We're all going to pay taxes. So what? What's that got to do with my argument? Absolutely nothing. That's what. The reality being, we're told that the science proves we're on a sphere, and there isn't any. And the people who are claiming it don't even know what science is. I'm embarrassed for them, the globe believers. I really am. I know how much flat earthers are ridiculed and considered stupid. Therefore, it must be deeply embarrassing to have a flat earther educate you in something like science, after you're the one trying to make an example that uses it. It's like, hello, you've just come here with a claim of science, but yet you're going to tell me off, tell me I underestimate people, and then tell me how the stars twinkle and move. It's like, my God, these people are retarded. I expected Arwen to have more to say on this, but clearly he's disappeared to make himself a brew.
Maybe this is the way they get attention when you take them to the woodshed on their nonsense, and they just like that.
It's what we get now. Nonsense time wasters. People with half a brain, as opposed to no brain at all, realise that if they come here, they're just going to get absolutely annihilated. So why bother? Just don't bother coming. And then the people with no brain...
mocking us.
Say again?
Mocking us. They are mocking us. I don't know how, with his stupid laughter.
That's nervous laughter. Comes straight after him being shown to be stupid.
The body of science.
Does nobody else
Wait,
find it embarrassing on their
The
behalf?
body of science?
Yeah. Does nobody else find it embarrassing for them?
Not really. I actually laugh at them.
Nathan,
Say again?
can we go through a science experiment step by step?
Can we go through a science experiment? What experiment have you got?
Yeah, I will Coriolis.
Got an experiment for Coriolis.
Oh
Okay.
my god.
No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
one
By all
second.
means. By all means, go ahead.
I just need.
You've broken up, Paul. We've lost you. Or you've gone silent.
Need a few seconds.
Give you a few seconds. Okay.
Did we finish all the questions already?
Yeah, we had housekeeping already. So
Everything ready?
We're ready whenever you are.
First I need an observed phenomenon. I'll take it in geometry. That on a globe, on a round object, we observed that the higher you go up, if you increase the radius, the speed, the tangential speed will also increase. Do you agree with me?
No, that's not a
In
natural
geometry.
phenomena. Where do you observe that occurring? A phenomena is something happening.
Geometry.
That's math.
General.
Bro, you said
Yeah.
geometry, you said globe. Where are you naturally observing any of this shit? What are you talking about? Naturally observed phenomenon.
You know what phenomena means? Phenomenon.
I know what a phenomenon is.
What's it mean?
Some happens, but this also happens in nature, but you can't see it with your own eyes. That's why I take the example of geometry.
What's happening? What's the phenomena that we're studying?
Falling objects.
Falling objects. I thought this was Coriolis.
Yeah, this is the effect of Coriolis.
So sorry,
Coriolis
bear with me. Bear with me. Hello, stop. So
Yeah, okay.
you're saying the effect is falling object and the cause is Coriolis. So IV, independent variable Coriolis, DV, falling objects. Total fail. This is nonsense.
Nathan, I disagree. I didn't say that.
That's what you just told me. It's a cause. It's caused by Coriolis, you just said.
No, I didn't say that. Look.
I asked you what the natural phenomena was. You said falling objects. And then you said the cause of which is Coriolis. That's what you just said.
Nathan, my dependent variable is the deviation of falling objects. My independent variable is the different tangential speed at different altitudes.
Sorry, you're saying tangential speed causes falling objects?
No, I'm saying tangential speed at the different speed at different altitudes causes falling objects to deviate.
Where do we observe objects deviating in nature?
We observe it all the time, but we can't see it with our eyes.
Sorry,
one.
But it's happening. But
where is this happening? Where do we observe this natural phenomena?
Everywhere. Coriolis, artillery shots. If you let an object fall, it will happen. But in most cases, we can't measure it because this deviation is too small.
Sorry, and an artillery shot is not a natural phenomena. Guys in Discord, or G+, whoever it is. That's not a natural phenomena.
But still, it happens on Earth.
Are you deaf?
I can use man-made objects to make an experiment.
Sorry.
Or to observe something.
Natural phenomena. That's something occurring in nature. If it's a man that's made it, then the cause is a man making it. So natural science, exclusively interested in phenomena in the physical and natural world. Now, if you're going to try and ascertain the cause of a phenomena, and your cause is a man making it, you already know the cause. So only natural phenomena. So we're back to, where do we observe this deviation that you're claiming in nature? Please. It needs to be a natural phenomena we actually observe first.
If something falls down, it's natural. Things falling down.
And when I drop something, it deviates, does it?
There's always a deviation, but it's if you drop it now from 6 feet, it will be impossible to measure this deviation. Or even
Sorry,
see it.
don't tell me where I can't see it. Are you deaf? Tell me where I can see it as a natural phenomena. Don't justify why I can't see it. It doesn't seem like we've got a phenomena that's natural here.
God damn it.
Don't
It is
sigh.
a natural phenomenon. Things falling down.
And there's no drift to observe in that thing falling down, according to what you've just told me.
You don't
no,
need
don't interrupt me. You've just told me no drift to see. Wouldn't be noticeable, wouldn't see it. Then it's not observed, you stupid idiot. I'm supposed to be observing it? Don't just say it always occurs. That's begging the question. Yeah? Show me where it occurs. Don't show me something where it's not occurring and justify why it isn't. Do you understand?
I'm going to show you where it's occurring in the experiment I'm doing after I
No,
this.
it has to be occurring in nature, not in the experiment, because otherwise you're inducing it in a man-made device. You're conjuring the phenomena within the experiment. I need to know where it happens in nature. That's the 5th time.
It happens everywhere. If you
Don't just beg the question. Don't just assume it happens everywhere and then justify why I don't see it when I drop something from 6 feet. Show me where it occurs.
Nathan, in geometry,
That's maths. Are you dumb? We have done that 4 times. Not maths. Physical reality. Where do we observe it? Don't tell me about geometry. Don't tell me about dropping something and not observing it, because that's not observing a phenomena.
Can I finish my point?
You can show me where it happens in nature.
I will want to finish my point. So, in geometry...
No, I want a naturally occurring phenomena, not a point. I want a DV. We covered what our hypothesis was. It was painful. I had to educate you only minutes ago. Now you want to talk about an explanation. No! We're talking about hypotheses, and therefore we first need to observe a phenomenon. That's a dependent variable. That is the only thing you're going to be focused on. We're not going to listen to your explanation. You're going to give me a DV.
The deviation of falling bodies on rotating spheres.
Sorry, that's an assumption that we're on a rotating sphere now, isn't it?
Look, and that's why I'm going.
Where do we observe this deviation, clown shoes?
Everywhere.
And that's your assumption, and then when I ask if I see it in a 6-foot item that I drop, you say we don't. So we don't see it everywhere. You've told me already we don't see it everywhere. That's wrong. You've told me how we don't see it.
We can't see it with our bare.
You've just told me how we don't see it if I drop something. It's not observable.
Nathan, I just gave you a link.
You just told me how we don't see it only moments ago. I don't want a link. I want you to tell me where we see it.
We see it if we measure it. We need to measure it.
Yeah, we've got to see it before we can measure it, dipshit.
Micro level.
Where do we see it?
We see it everywhere, Nate.
That's you begging the question, constantly begging the question. I assume it's seen everywhere. Will I see it if I drop something from 6 feet? No, we won't see it. So definitely not everywhere. Not observable if I drop something, according to you.
Nathan, can you see an atom? Can you see atoms? No.
I don't give a crap. I'm asking you where you see your claim stuff deviates. You're yet to tell me.
So, for example, in this experiment, I posted a link in chat.
Not an experiment. We haven't even got to the experiment yet. I want the dependent variable. We're nowhere near experiment.
The deviation of falling bodies on a rotating sphere.
That's an assumption that we're on a rotating sphere, but you're not showing me where we observe this phenomena.
We observe this phenomenon on rotating spheres, and that's...
Yeah, that's nice. And you're going to assume that we're on a rotating sphere, are you? No. I need to know where we observe this in nature.
I have to prove it. That's why I have to...
No, you have to observe it first. Step 1, observe natural phenomena. Step 2, formulate hypothesis. Well, if you've observed phenomena, you've already got the dependent variable. You're halfway there. You then just need to assume a cause of the effect you observed. So far, you haven't even told us where we observe it.
We observe it in...
Everywhere. Right, you dumb shit? No, I don't observe it everywhere. You told me if I drop something, I don't observe it. So wrong. Stop saying everywhere, you clown. And specifically point at something that does do this.
Geometry. So
geometry's maths. Keep telling you, that's the 6th time. We want to know in nature where your claim stuff deviates is observable.
I will show you where it is. But let me finish. My hypothesis is...
This is the hypothesis. Step 1, dependent variable. That would be observe natural phenomena. Observe it happening. You don't need to go on to the hypothesis. That's what we're doing. Why are you telling me about what you're doing with hypotheses? You don't even know what one is. Until 10 minutes ago, you didn't know what the constituent parts were, and now you've got the gall to describe you formulating hypotheses. I'm leading you through this process, clown, not the other way around. Don't tell me about your formulation of a hypothesis. Let's make it clear. Let's educate you again. IVDV is hypothesis. First thing you need is a DV. That's observing something happening in nature. I keep asking you where it happens in nature. You've got nothing, and I'll conclude why you've got nothing. Nothing drifts away in nature. Earth's not turning underneath anything. Nothing drifts. You'll never show me it happening, ever. It's not a natural phenomena. That's why you haven't just named something. You've just said it happens always. No, that's you begging the question.
Nathan, we observe this on rotating spheres, and that's why I'm saying that if we're on a rotating sphere...
That's begging the question! We observe this on rotating spheres. Therefore, if I'm on a rotating sphere, right, first and foremost, you read out from Wiki what science does. It's an if and then statement, as described by you reading it out. So the if statement in this particular example is if Earth's spinning. Well, if that's your statement, that's your independent variable. So now we've got an independent variable before we've got an observed phenomena. Now you're saying we see deviation on rotating bodies. Where do we see it in nature? You haven't detailed anything. But you're damn sure going to have your independent variable as if Earth turn. How the hell are you going to vary that?
I'm gonna vary the speed the object is moving at. That's why my independent variable is the different speed at different altitudes.
You just said if the Earth is spinning. Your if statement is your independent variable. So now you've got two independent variables. Clown.
Nathan, my
No, don't sigh. You said if Earth is turning. If, and then that's what science is. If A, then B. If A is independent variable, then B is dependent variable. Now, we haven't been given a dependent variable yet. You've moved on to begging the question of Earth turn. Now, if you've got that as your if statement, if Earth is turning, which you've declared, then it's your independent variable. Now, it's not. It's an assumption you've made. And even if it was true, how the hell are you going to vary that? You can't. It's not a variable. It's a begging the question fallacy, exemplified by you constantly saying it happens everywhere. And they're not telling us where it happens anywhere.
And Nathan, that's why I said if the Earth is spinning at different...
Yeah, that's therefore your independent variable, clown shoes. Something you can't vary and you've assumed.
I can vary it. I can...
Oh, you can vary spinning Earth? Oh, really? We've got another Superman. So what are you going to do, Superman? You're going to fly around it backwards?
Nathan,
I asked you a question. You said you could vary Earth turn.
That's... I'm just telling you how I'm doing it. Because at different altitudes, the speed the object is moving at has also...
Sorry, the speed the object is moving at. We're talking about Earth turn and you varying it, you stupid idiot. Not the object, the Earth turn. That's your independent variable, not an object. Earth turning. Now, Superman, how are you going to vary that?
That's... the object is the Earth at that moment. You will understand this wrong. I know this already. But
sorry, I understand wrong that your if statement's your independent variable that needs varying and you can't vary it. It's an assumption that you beg the question of. No, I definitely understand what's happening here. I also understand that you're still yet to give us a dependent variable. That would be things deviating. You haven't shown it me in nature. So we haven't got anything happening in nature to figure the cause of because you haven't shown us it. And you also have an independent variable for something that doesn't happen in nature of Earth turning. You're begging the question fallacy.
So my dependent variable is the deviation of falling objects.
Where do we observe that in nature?
Independent variable.
Where do we observe that happening in nature?
Different speed at different
Where
altitudes.
do we observe that?
We observe it in geometry.
That's maths. Do you not understand the difference between geometry and physical nature?
But this also occurs in nature. That's what I'm going to...
Where does it occur in nature? Tell me where we see things deviating.
I have measurements for this.
No, that's maths. I need a naturally occurring phenomena. And I'll say it again as I summarised before. You don't have one. Nothing's drifting. Earth's not turning under anything at 15 degrees an hour. If it was turning underneath things at 15 degrees an hour, then it would be turning underneath aeroplanes at 15 degrees an hour also. And that would shorten flight times.
That's not my point. My point is not that the Earth is rotating under anything.
That's what would give you drift, you stupid idiot. So you don't even know that your own claim involves Earth turning underneath stuff not attached.
The Earth below it.
Yeah, that's drift. That's Earth turning underneath it then, so you are claiming it.
The Earth. No, I'm not claiming it at all. You're saying...
So Earth doesn't have Coriolis effect then. Welcome to non-rotating stationary Earth.
Then the ground below it. And that's why this deviation occurs.
So the ground below it's moving.
Of course it's moving. But the
well, then you're claiming Earth's moving underneath things not attached. You stupid idiot.
No, the object is moving away from the Earth.
Oh, because Earth's moving underneath it. Yes, we know what you're claiming. You claim Earth has 15 degrees an hour deviation because it's turning underneath stuff. Yeah, that would shorten flight times.
My claim is there's a deviation because at different altitudes, objects move at a different speed, at a higher speed or lower speed. That's my claim, not that...
Yeah, that would be drift. You're claiming things drift. Yeah, we know. And the cause of this claim drift, you've also stated, if Earth's turning. We know what you claim causes it. We know what you claim is a phenomena. You just can't show us it happening in nature, and your assumed cause of it can't be varied. So it's definitely not science.
But Nathan, I measured, and not I, but someone measured this deviation.
Where?
It was 1/24th of an inch from a 300.
Where was this measured?
Drop.
What was
Someone
occurring?
dropped.
Hello? 27th time? Yeah. Where did this get observed in nature to then be measured? What did they measure that they observed first to measure? My God, it's like pulling teeth.
Look, they observed it in geometry on...
So we didn't observe it in nature, we observed it in maths then? So when you say they observed it in nature and here's my calculation, I ask where it's observed, you say in maths. No, mate, that's not observing something in nature, you utter clown.
Okay, it's observed in math. What's...
Oh, really? Oh, well, that's for a math forum. Here, us flat earth realists, we deal with physical reality, not abstract maths. Bugger off to a maths forum so you can talk about the abstract. We talk about nature here, not maths. Idiot, you're in the wrong place. Go somewhere to reify abstract maths. That's not physics.
Nathan,
that's not physics, clown.
Beautiful.
That's not physics, you total moron. You don't know the difference between science and maths. Do you need me to educate you in the difference? Again, a flat earther having to educate a clown about things happening in geometry not being physics? Say thank you, Nathan. Thank you for educating me in the difference between maths and science. I'd like another thank you.
You're saying math isn't science.
That's correct, you total idiot. Maths is maths. That's abstract descriptions. Science is physics, the physical and natural world. Hence me asking you to show us a phenomena, and you tell us it happens in geometry. You're an idiot.
But Nathan...
Not but Nathan. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, flat earther, for educating my dumbass in the difference between maths and science.
But show me proof. You can just say something and I can accept it. Show me...
I can ask you for physical demonstrations of drift, you claim, 15 times, and you at the end actually admit that it only occurs in maths. It occurs in geometry? Yeah, that's not a natural phenomenon, you stupid idiot. That's maths.
I can show you this on Earth.
Oh, yeah. So me asking 27 times where we observe this in nature isn't going to result in a 29th time, and 30th time, and 50th time of you telling me that it doesn't occur in nature, not directing me to something actually happening that I can observe happening, and tell me that it happens in maths, after assuming it happens all the time and telling me you can calculate it, but not telling me what's going to be calculated, i.e. what's the observed phenomena. There isn't one. I've made that conclusion 3 times. There's no phenomena to observe. Nothing's drifting. If Earth was turning underneath anything, it would be turning underneath aeroplanes, drones and helicopters, and we'd damn well notice. We don't, because Earth doesn't have any 15 degrees an hour deviation, precisely the thing you're claiming, and then can't direct me to it actually happening. That's why you're failing miserably. You don't know the difference between maths and science. With that, I'll say huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, however, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video. Shout out to Retro Bill for hitting the super chat. Perhaps the panel could do a special episode in style of AMSR in order to ease the baller's pain. Thank you very much indeed again to